is Keith Bolton from Pittsfield, New Hampshire. So my son is 7 years old. He is absolutely amazing. He just has this love for life that you don't often see. He loves school, he loves to learn. He's very animated with everything he does, and he will always say, "I like to make people laugh, Mom." So whenever we're doing a school project or he has to come up with a sentence, he was like, "Well, I need to think about this. It needs to be funny." And so he always wants to make everything lighthearted and fun and enjoyable. And my husband and I are so fortunate that we can homeschool. My husband does 3 days a week and I do 2 days a week. And it just changes everything. You just look at everything differently. Our conversations all become like a teaching conversation and more enjoyable. About your desk. So this used to be Parker's crib, and we turned it into Parker's desk. And this is where Parker does his schoolwork. Those are his stars. So he went into his first procedure at just a few hours old. For the first 24 hours of his life, we couldn't see him. He was struggling, he was pretty sick. The first time we did see him, he was hooked up to more monitors and wires than I knew possible. When we left the office that day, we actually just had a napkin with hypoplastic left heart syndrome written on it to go home and Google it for ourselves. To have never heard it before, I guess we were in denial where we didn't know that a child could be born terminal. We thought like either they made it or they were stillborn. We didn't know that a child could be born gravely ill. So then kind of didn't want to have a baby shower because you didn't know you would be bringing your child home. And so you didn't want to get really excited, but you were. So it was very intimidating not to be able to hold your newborn baby or comfort them, to feel them cold to the touch. Was hard because we always wanted a family. And then when you can't do the normal things, it's tough. We couldn't have been blessed with a better child. And 7 years later, he never complains about anything. We came home with medications he had to get every 6 hours, 36 doses a day. We're down to, he gets 3 times a day, he gets 17 doses of medications. And he never complains or asks any questions, he just does what he has to do.
Oh, no, are you gonna hang? No, it's not gonna hang today.
My turn. So when you learn about Parker's condition, they say that 1 in 10 doctors would advise you to abort the child or give it comfort care and let it pass at birth because they don't feel they have a good quality of life. And to meet my son and to know my son, the quality of life that he has is phenomenal.
Yeah, it goes.
So you do learn a lot. They teach you how to care for your child, but you learn what's best for your child. You learn the techniques that work, what soothes him faster, what he responds to better. The medical team that he has in New Hampshire at Chad and at Boston Children's is the best in the world, and I wanted every child to have a fighting chance like my son's been given. So I've pushed hard to every year do awareness benefits for other families so they don't walk out with a napkin and are confused and lost and intimidated by an internet search that can say some pretty scary things. And so I was very passionate about making sure that every child had a fighting chance and that parents who maybe didn't know, my husband and I were both educated, both traveled, and we didn't know. And so I thought that there'd be a lot of other parents that could benefit from this. So we pushed for legislation, and in 2012 we got a law passed called Parker's Law, and it will test all newborns in the state of New Hampshire for the 7 critical congenital heart defects. And in New Hampshire alone, it saves 35 babies from being discharged prematurely, 7 to 8 that need further cardiac workups, and 1 to 2 that actually go home each year and pass in their parents' care. I'm not a political person. I'm not a public speaker, as you've noticed. So didn't know my voice would make a difference, but I definitely wanted to push for it. And I feel very fortunate that the process went the way it did, and I was able to get a law to have it mandatory in the state of New Hampshire for all hospitals, birthing facilities, and home births to have this done. It means a lot to me that I was able to do that, and that Parker's name will live on forever. He's just been a very loving and affectionate child that we've never had to deal with temper tantrums or sadness. He's just always been a very happy child. And I always thought I would deal with those things, and we didn't. We deal with other things, but we get told a lot. He's like an old soul. He's just, you know, a very kind old soul that is a lot to learn from. My voice matters.